Fabio, this is the first bel canto opera we have done as a company. And we all use this term bel canto all the time without really saying what it means. What do you think bel canto really means?
It's maybe right words, if you think about the story of this repertoire, maybe wrong words for today. Because when we talk about bel canto, of course, we talk a special moment in the story when the singers start to be really big stars, and we think about the most important singer in the beginning of 19th century, Giuditta Pasta, Malibran, Rubini, the tenor, and of course the composer dedicate the opera, this fantastic voice. But in another way also, we try today to show how deep it is this music, how interesting it is, how many details you have in the orchestra, in the choir, in the dramaturgy. So we destroyed a little the focus in the singers, and it's not bel canto, but it's bella musica. Maybe it's a better,
nice, yes.
A better word.
Yeah, and in a way, with this particular opera, we're not really telling the Shakespearean story of Romeo and Juliet. In a way, it's the drama is not in the story. The storytelling is all in the music. And how do you develop that when you're conducting that and working with the singers? Because they have difficult music to sing, but the detail within that is what is going to tell us the story.
You're right, the relation between the libretto and the Shakespeare is nothing. We must be considered also the Shakespeare at that time was not very well known in Italy. Maybe the first good example is Macbeth with Verdi, where really the relation it's very strong, but not with the Romani. And this was also a problem during the 19th century, especially in England and in some other country where the audience and the critics disappoint this connection with Shakespeare. But what we found in the dramaturgy of the music, it's really a very good relationship with the smell of Shakespeare tragedy. And the singers have a very important role to give the impression constantly that it's a very negative story. It's a drama. It's terrible, and the atmosphere in the music from the beginning. It's like we know that it's a strong story, and this is very Shakespeare. I think in the Romeo and Juliet we feel immediately the feeling that something is wrong from the beginning. So I think the singers, like the stage director, understand perfectly that is a sort of celebration, a bad celebration in a terrible way. The opera starts with how Shakespeare say the stars are not in the good place.
Yeah.
And constantly we have this opportunity to show the drama that inside. So the music is not superficial. And even in the first very important cabaletta from Tebaldo, like in Romeo parts, everything share fantastic, of course, melody, like Bellini was probably the prince of the melody in Italy, but a lot of contrast, a lot of different element for just go in the very intense and strong dramaturgy of this story. So I think it's a great opportunity. In one way, Capuleti it's maybe, and for me it's the best of the Bellini opera, because many elements are together. If you compare Capuleti with Norma, for example, Norma it's a little more monumental and less human. In Capuleti you have a sort of many elements. One also very important is the choir. So we work really a lot with the choir, and also on stage the choir have a fantastic and very, very strong responsibility in the story. So I think it's a multimedia opera for understand a lot of things. And I'm very happy that it's the first premiere of canto here, because it's the right music, I think.
Oh, good. I think another thing is the way Bellini uses instruments. You know, this extraordinary, almost like a horn concerto in the Capuleti, at the very start of the opera, and then the clarinet has a special role. Why do you think he particularly wanted those instruments?
You know, this is good because it's again a good argument for show to the audience that this music is not just a simple accompaniment of the voice. The composer, and especially Bellini, believe a lot in the relationship between a particular sound and the dramaturgy. So you're right, the clarinet is the instrument of Romeo constantly, like the horn is the instrument of Juliet. And I think this music is so strong and so deep that, for example, in the end, when Romeo is alone and desperate because Juliet died, and he sing, "Come, come with me, I can live without you," he sing at the same time of the horn, because the horn is the ghost of Juliet.
Oh.
I mean, it's extremely rich, and I think you can find in the book in the beginning of 19th century the relation between each instrument and the dramaturgy. This comes, for example, in the famous Trattato of Bonifacio Ascioli, talk about orchestration, the symbology of every instrument. What is the flute? What is the so it's perfectly in the right direction.
And the violas too. There's sort of something about that very human voice, a very strong voice in the middle of the strings.
That's what I like, because normally you'd never seen this kind of powerful from the viola in other interpretation. Many times the conductors say shh, not too much, the viola. But when you see that everybody play rhythmical and viola play a very long harmony device, first and second viola, this is so beautiful, because it's again
Mozartian as well.
Yeah, so it's yeah. I think, you know, it's like use every element for show how rich is this music. So of course also the viola are very important.
Of course, in a way, you know, the most spectacular thing is this use of, you know, a soprano as Giulietta and a mezzo soprano as Romeo. That because I think it's about the last trouser roll, isn't it?
One of the last. You're right.
But there's something so extraordinary about that blend of voices.
For me, it's a dream. But again, in the 19th century was a very strange element, and many critics come for this reason. For example, one great composer and very nice man like Hector Berlioz hated this score because it was two women. I never understand why Romeo was a mezzo and not a tenor. Why? Because the romantic time, the hero was tenor, never a mezzo. So why Bellini decide? For me, is because it's again understand the smell in the Shakespeare tragedy. Because Romeo is young, so we need a women voice for Romeo.
Yes.
And this is the reason. And we recognize that Romeo and Juliet are two very young characters. And this is very, very sweet, because it's even better show this. In some edition, for example, I remember to listen to an edition with the Romeo tenor that was made for Dubai Opera, because they refused to have two women.
Of course,
lovers, and that was terrible, not for artistical reason, but because it doesn't work. Romeo is not a tenor. So I think it's a right decision, but of course that feel a little old style for the people around Bellini. They consider there was a little like castrato time, and of course in 1830 that was very old concept. But it's worked fantastically, and I think Capuleti Montecchi, we must be recognized, that was a big success every time. His opera very popular in every part of Europe during the 19th century. It was constantly played like in 20th century. So it's an important title, and we understand why.
We certainly do. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.